We've asked Greg Shoemaker Fenwick to lead us tonight in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I need a motion that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of regular meeting and special meeting minutes, the DPS and LCSCA treasurer's report and monthly bills, the balance sheet and monthly expense report, enrollment numbers and the discipline report, staff development report, monthly website, social media activity, and the IRS mileage reimbursement rate as found in your packet.
So moved. Second.
The only thing new this month is every January 1st, we receive an update from IRS, and mileage is going from 67 cents a mile to 70. So my recommendation is to approve the consent agenda.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Gates?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mrs. Wagner?
Aye. We are lucky to have the Madrigal Singers with us tonight. If they would like to come up.
Behind
They go behind us.
Go ahead, go back to the numbers and things right in the middle. Let's go this way. Just.
Wassail, wassail, all over the town. Our bread it is white and our wassail is brown. Our bowl it is made of the green maple tree. In the wassail bowl we'll drink unto thee. Here's health to the ox and to his right eye. Pray God send our master a good Christmas pie. A good Christmas pie as e'er I did see. In the wassail bowl we'll drink unto thee. Come butler, come fill us a bowl of the best.
And pray that your soul in heaven may rest.
But if you do bring us a bowl of the small,
Then down shall go butler, bowl, and all. Then here's to the maid in lily white smock, who tripped to the door and slid back the lock, who tripped to the door and pulled back the pin, for to let these jolly wassailers walk in. Wassail, 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 in the wassail bowl we'll drink unto thee.
rock, rock, rock your little baby, rock your child in the stable tonight. Oh, Mary, rock, rock, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light. Oh, Mary, rock, rock, rock your little baby, rock your child in the stable tonight. Oh, Mary, rock, rock, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light. Oh, Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby,
rock,
rock your child in the stable tonight.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light. Angels join in a lullaby as the star shines bright in the winter sky.
Shepherds travel from far and wide just to kneel at the baby's side. Oh, Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby,
rock,
rock your child in the stable tonight.
Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light. Holy baby from heaven above, you have come to offer us peace and love. Join me now in a song of praise on this happiest day of
Oh,
days.
Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby, rock your child in the stable tonight.
Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Rock your baby tonight.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Rock your baby tonight.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Rock your baby tonight. Rock your baby in the holy light.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby,
rock,
rock your child in the stable tonight.
Oh, Mary, rock,
Mary, Mary, rock your little baby, rock your baby in the heavenly light. I said, rock your baby in the heavenly. Oh, Mary, rock your baby tonight.
All right, we're gonna take time to acknowledge our ILMEA participants, as this is a big accomplishment, and the directors are gonna go stand on this side since all the students are now on that side. Sorry.
Okay, so we want to congratulate our band and choir students who were accepted into the ILMEA, the Illinois Music Educators Association District 8 Festival for this school year. The ILMEA Festival is where the strongest musicians in District 8, which is like the northwest corner of Illinois, come together and make music. Preparation for this audition is very demanding and took each of these students hours to learn and practice both new music and technical skills. At the festival, it's like an entire day. They learned a great deal from experts within the professional music world. They also got to meet other dedicated student musicians their age from across the district. So we are all incredibly proud of their hard work. Not all of these students could be here tonight. Reagan had, I think, over 30 students audition, and 21 students were selected to make it, which is awesome. So if you are here tonight, Reagan students, just like give a little wave and step forward. So for junior treble choir, we had Sophia Jasufi, Ayla Marsh, Jaden Roberts, Nora Stock, Preston Dominguez, Lily Hawes, Natalie Rhodes, Chloe Susie, Sadie Ziegler, Griffin Arduini, Serenity Hollinger, Orion Novak, Braden Schroyer, and Molly Wickert. The junior mixed choir, we had Haley Phillips, Kate Wadsworth, Julia DeVries, Emily Wendt, Max Gingras, and Graham Leitner. So that was all of our choir students. And then for band, we had John Kokar on euphonium.
I don't think Miss Olmquist will toot her own horn, but this was an incredibly large group, the largest that has been sent in a long time, and Dixon for middle school had like within the top 5 schools for the most students out of, again, the entire northwest of Illinois. So it's a huge accomplishment for Reagan and Miss Holmquist.
And just a side note, I do believe that we have a minimum of 100 schools in our district. And so that some choose not to send students to audition, but the majority of them do. So these are the best of the best, and we have very large districts, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to announce our ILMEA district senior chorus students, and these were the students that were accepted. We did have 23 that auditioned and 13 made it, and so our numbers also are increasing since COVID time, which is wonderful. Same thing, I believe all these students might be here. Olivia Payne, Rory Weekman, Emily Phillips, Allie Kruger, Ann McFarland, Ava Pacera, Zoe Varga, Grace Shoemaker Fenwick, Greg Shaw, Kai Hoban, Rain Bonnewell, and Owen Winters.
Ms. Maglio cannot be here tonight to recognize the senior band, but the senior band, we had 3 members, sorry. For senior band, that was James Kokar on alto saxophone, Blake Ferguson Allen on bari saxophone, and Nathan Stoddard on alto saxophone as well.
All right, so for senior vocal jazz, same thing with choir and band. It's a group that gets together. Vocal jazz is a different group that is kind of like an a cappella style group that you may have seen in things like Pitch Perfect, but they do vocal jazz. So we have Olivia Payne, Emmy Phillips, Allie Kruger, Ann McFarlane, Kai Hoban, Owen Winters, and James Kokar.
After completion of the students' audition process, then and we complete the district festival, which is also a requirement, they are now eligible for state level. And this is in which all 9 districts in the entire state of Illinois are now condensed and pooled together. And so this is like the best of the best of the best. And so it's very exciting when we get to send Dixon students. And this year we have several that will be attending the ILMEA music conference later in January here down in Peoria. And we have representing the All-State Vocal Jazz, Kai Hoban. Then for All-State Honors Choir, which is even a step above the All-State Choir, that would be Owen Winters, Olivia Payne, and Ann McFarland.
And then I think for the first time in quite a while, we have all-state band representation, and for that is James Kokar on alto saxophone.
2 years in a row, which is huge.
That's
So
right.
last year we had a band student, this year we have another band student, which is
That's right.
exciting.
Yes.
And since we are here, we also would like to take a very quick moment to thank Ms. Denise Severs, who stepped in and did so much this semester for the choir program, which is so much outside of the classroom, and we're excited that she came out of retirement for the semester, and we hope she enjoys retirement 2.0.
Again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
We should need to end it. Yeah.
That was very soothing.
Yes, so I said, we need to end right there, it's just perfect.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Motion.
I'll second it.
I was gonna say, we understand kids have studies and everything, so if they want to head out, we understand about studying and getting ready for tomorrow.
Thank you so much for coming. They're so good. And it looks like they have a lot of fun too, you know, a lot of fun doing it together. Should we move on with students of the month?
Yep. Mr. Rogers, can we
Yes, absolutely.
have that? We'll start out with Reagan and then have anyone who's here, and then we'll move to DHS.
Good evening. I'm Matt Magnifici, principal of Reagan Middle School. It is my honor to recognize Emma Nicholas and Dylan Nog as Reagan Middle School's January Students of the Month. Emma and Dylan exemplify what it means to be a Reagan Royal. Always respectful, responsible, and ready. Their hard work and dedication can be seen both inside and outside of the classroom in everything they do. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Hi, my name is Emma Nicholas. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm Student of the Month for January. The activities I participate in school is FCA, Builders Club, Student Council, and volleyball. Outside school, I do theater. If I had a favorite teacher at RMS, I don't think I could pick one, so my top 4 are Mrs. Almquist, Mrs. Thornton, Mrs. Kitzman, and Mrs. Lind. If I could change one rule about RMS, it'd be the new school policy for late work. I feel kids should get more time to turn in their work with all the extracurriculars and things going on in the world. What is my proudest moment at RMS? My proudest moment at RMS is being a part of the FCA group and watching it grow over the 2 years. If you were given an opportunity to create a new club at RMS, what would it be? It'd be a business club, so kids in 8th grade could start experiencing real-life stuff in middle school. If I had any advice for an upcoming 6th grader, it'd definitely be to get your work done on time and be nice to everybody. Thank you.
My name is Dylan Nog. I'm in 8th grade, and some activities I do associated with the school are track and field. I run the 4x2, the 4x4, and the 110-meter hurdles. Outside of school, I like to travel, and I've had the opportunity to go to many different countries. All the teachers have been super great and helpful in my middle school experience. And yeah, if I could change one rule, it would be to extend the time in between classes. It can be hard and even stressful sometimes to get between class with only 2 minutes. My proudest moment would be going to state for track and field. We placed 4th in the 4x4 100 meter, and if I were given the opportunity to create a new club, it would be a community service club to help the elderly continue their connections to the community. Some advice I would give an incoming 6th grader about RMS would be to just have fun and enjoy it. I want to thank everyone involved for recognizing me as January Student of the Month.
We have Mrs. Downey tonight, so do you have any students with you?
And then I'm gonna get them up here.
Excellent, come on up. Just kind of go right over here in case the board wants to talk to you or ask any questions. Parents, if you want to take pictures, or grandparents, come right on up and you can go right over here by Jim and get some good photos.
Stay in the middle, I guess.
You guys ready? Nailed it.
Any questions?
Well, we're very proud of students like you. That's what we hope we're doing in our schools, is producing kids like you. Are you having fun in school?
Yes.
Mostly.
Well, that's important too. And like I said, with the Madrigals, it looked like they had a lot of talent, and they certainly honed their skill, but it looked like they were having fun too. So we hope that's how you feel.
Yes, it is.
What do you like about FCA?
Well, we started this group 2 years ago, and I really like it because we're going to like a public school. There's not a lot of Christianity or any like God presence spread around the school, so it's nice to have like that opportunity for kids that do go to a public school but still believe in that to be able to share their love, and also for kids that haven't grown up with that or that don't know about it, so they can learn about it and grow in their relationship with God.
That's awesome. Very nice. And what do you like about supporting our elderly population? What kind of activities do you see them, the middle school kids, doing with them?
Maybe we could like go to the nursing homes and like, like play games or like help entertain them.
Mm-hmm. I am sure they would love that. I think you have a great idea there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Dixon High School.
Good evening. I'm Jared Shaner, principal of Dixon High School. It is my honor to recognize and introduce to you our January 2025 Student of the Month, Leah Stees. Leah has been involved in a variety of sports and extracurricular activities during her time at Dixon High School. She is near the top of her class, where she excels academically in everything that she does. She's a polite, hardworking young lady. She has a tremendous sense of humor and personality, and she really epitomizes what we want our students to be at Dixon High School. Congratulations, Leah.
Hi, my name is Leah Stees, and I'm the January Student of the Month at Dixon High School. Throughout high school, I've been involved in soccer, tennis, Key Club, and I'm class vice president. 3 words to describe my senior year would be challenging, rewarding, and bittersweet. My favorite teacher at Dixon High School is Mrs. Fitzenko because she cares so much for all of her students. She taught me the value of hard work, and she also works so hard to ensure that all of her students are successful. Advice that I would have for incoming freshmen at DHS is to always work hard, try your best, but also try not to be too hard on yourself because it can be really counterproductive. If I could make one course mandatory for seniors at DHS, it would be taking a course at Whiteside Area Career Center. I'm currently in the CNA course at Whiteside, and I've really enjoyed it because it's given me a glimpse into what a career in the medical field could be like, and I think that all students should take advantage of this resource. My plan for next year is to attend the University of Illinois. I'm unsure at the moment of what to study, but I'm really excited for this next chapter in my life. In 5 years, I see myself graduated from college, pursuing my career, and being happy and successful.
Unfortunately, Leah is sick. That was a fun video for me to make, and I could have went on and on. As an aside, my senior son and Leah have dated for about 3 years now, and she's like a part of our family. I could not say enough good things about this young woman. She's a great, great young lady. And I don't want to embarrass her too much, but I will tell a quick little story. I wish she was here. We'll talk about it tomorrow. As you may or may not know, sometimes when kids get in relationships when they're young, they're very timid around each other, and especially around other people's parents. And it's probably 2 years ago now, Leah came over to the house, and I asked the kids if they were hungry, and they said yeah, so we threw in a frozen pizza. And if you don't know Leah, she's a tiny little thing. her and Kellen devoured like 3 frozen pizzas in a matter of like 20 minutes. I couldn't put them in fast enough, and they just kept eating them. And I knew right then that I absolutely adored this girl. And like I said, just a great, great kid, great family, and certainly deserving to be Student of the Month.
And finally, we have Mrs. Bork to celebrate our Dixon Public School Teachers of the Month.
All right, we had 27 teachers nominated this month, and I'll go through them by school here. For Washington, we had Molly Ferguson, Carmen Heim, and Amy Doan. From Jefferson, Deanne Wendt, Dory Kingery, Katrina Shirley, Lizzie Stam, Brittany Pitzer, Keely Dewey, Brianna Shippert, Jen Keel, and Jordan Saunders. From Madison, Julie Murdian, Callie Nelson, Catherine Nolan, myself. For Reagan, Gabby Kitzman twice, Kelly Rule twice, Nate Jeeves, Carrie Weidman, Chris Hansen, Chris Bishop, Julia Thornton, and Rita Gillespie. And from the high school, Allison Johnston, Brandon Woodward, Dan Crawford, and Michelle Bailey. And the winner of the gift certificate this time was Chris Bishop, who teaches music for Reagan. And I'm just going to read the clip for that one teacher. Chris is a positive presence, bringing your great energy to the classroom and hallways of RMS. So congratulations to those teachers.
Anything on citizen attendance? And no correspondence. We move on to action items. We will need a motion that the board approve the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $4,500,000 taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2025, for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund of the district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof, as presented in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
So our time is coming to an end now, and it's time to actually make a decision on the issuance of working cash bonds. Board of Education Policy 4.4 is incurring debt, which authorizes the Board of Education to issue different types of bonds, including working cash bonds, and outlines your authority to hire outside consulting firms and so forth to support us in this venture, which you have done by hiring Stiefel and Spear. Yesterday, the bid was concluded. You have in your packet in front of you, there's a packet that's kind of bounced together. It's this document right here. There were 3 different bidders. I am very pleased to tell you that the winning bidder was a local firm, Sauk Valley Bank. They have won the bid at 4.8% interest, and the actual amount of working cash bonds being issued is the full $4.5 million. In addition to that, in your packet, you have this document. This is the updated resolution, which was in your board book. If you read through the board book, it was generic. It didn't have amounts, it didn't have terms, things like that. This document has now been updated based upon the bid and has now been presented to you, which is ultimately the resolution that you'll be asked to approve tonight. As part of the overall process, you also have this document right here. This is actually Sauk Valley Bank's official bid packet. So when they are asked to submit, this is what they submitted as part of their overall process. In addition to that, you've seen tables like this one. This table, these come from Stiefel, and they outline out our debt payments, and now what that will look like going forward as you look across these. So this gives you an opportunity to understand the types of the volume or the amount of money that will be levied to pay off these types of working cash bonds. The last item, which is probably the item that you'd probably be most interested in looking through, this is the actual award letter that comes from SPEAR. This is where they actually will present this is presented to Sauk Valley Bank and is all part of the overall process. That's kind of a lot of reading. I'm sure you'll all take it home and read through every single word and so forth. Our vision of this working cash bond issuance has not changed. It should not or will not raise the tax rate that our taxpayers are paying. This will actually be $4.5 million, which we will deposit in our working cash fund, as compared to the refunding bonds that we did before, which was refinancing and moving around. We didn't actually receive any cash. As I've said before, these working cash funds are approved for use only by you through the transfer or loaning to other funds based on specific purpose. Over the next few months and years, because it is our intention to use these funds over the years, you will be brought updates and requests. As always, we will be asking you or giving you preliminary notice of a month or two in advance for discussion purposes. And ultimately, our vision has not changed. This is to support our one-to-one initiatives, to support our capital, social emotional learning across the district, and curriculum initiatives that we have done a lot of work to update over the last 4 or 5 years. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Mark, is the expense of issuing this bond $160,000 less?
Yes, but it goes through the bond issuance, so it's all built into the process. We don't write a check for that amount. It's all in there and it's all encompassed.
But it comes out of the proceeds of the bonds, though, right?
Yes, but which are paid through. Yes, we won't. It all comes all incorporated. Yeah.
Well, as I understand it, we're issuing $4.5 million worth of bonds, but we're getting 4.34. Is that right?
And that's the difference of 160.
Yes.
Without getting too much crazy into the weeds here, Mark, I see this like the table of the maturities per year with different rates per year. Could you give me the 30 seconds version of that?
Well, that was based upon their bid. That was how they offered it up.
And so there's a different interest rate per year, like different portions of the bond come to maturity at different times?
They don't come to maturity at different times. They just will charge different interest rates from time to time.
Okay, so it's a variable interest rate over the course of the 5 years.
Yeah, not based upon CPI or
No,
prime.
it's just a fixed.
This is what they're
It's a
doing.
fixed variable rate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the other thought I just always have about this is, we've got over $10 million already in a variety of funds, certainly not working cash, but this is, I love your overall vision to have a cash influx so we can do some of these big things. So looking forward to using it. We're soon to be getting a loan and then just having it sit there and not actually doing anything with it. So I'm looking forward to spending some money on some great things that are going to do awesome things.
Are there other questions?
And just as a comment to what you just said, John, it is not our intention to borrow money and then not use it.
Of course.
That is the purpose. It would, to me, it would be irresponsible to borrow the money and not use it.
Exactly.
So we will be coming to you with plans and intentions of spending the money down.
I'm so excited.
Other questions? Comments? Roll call?
Mrs. Gates?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Wagner?
Aye. We move on to administrative reports.
We will start with administrative reports. Mark, anything specific in your business report?
Yeah, so last month when we were sitting here, we were talking about Triple I, and Mr. Wadsworth actually sent me an email while we were sitting here with some questions in regards to our fund balance policy. This is at your locations. It is a front and back document that actually has our fund balance policy on it. If you read through our fund balance policy, it's very generic. It offers up no specifics of ratios related to operating expenses, minimum balances, or really anything like that. Where this all comes from is part of the levy presentation, which included a Miller ratio and included the operational fund reduction protocols that some other districts are experiencing because they've managed to build their funds up so high. We have not done that yet at this particular time. And we've always kind of talked about, 1 year would be great if we had 1 year of operating expenses. And we're not there. That's not where we certainly are. I think in my research, as I've kind of gone through, and one of the things that I've done is I've reached out to my counterparts across the state. They have a variety of different types of fund policies that they shared with me just recently. Some of them include discussion and disclosure at every quarter or every 6 months at a board meeting where there's a discussion of what fund balances are, how they look, things like that. Some of them have talked about percentage ratios at the end of the year of operating expenses. So somewhere, maybe it might look like between 30 and 50%. We should have between 30 and 50% of our operational expenses on hand at the end of every single year. Maybe something that looks like that. Certainly the Miller ratio and the Reduction Act, they're looking more around 2 years, which is a significantly higher amount than those types of things. So I do kind of, what's next? I think we continue to kind of research this topic and just kind of see what other people are doing. I think that we should update this policy over time for something that works for us, something that fits, keeping in mind that when you create a policy or when you do something, you then need to make sure that you're taking action to achieve or reach that. So we probably don't really want our policy to say 1 year or 1.5 years of operational expenses, because then we're gonna have to put together a timeline in which we put together budgets that we live with that get us to that number. So I think it's important to really understand and kind of think about where it is we want to be, what's responsible for us as the operations of the district, what's responsible to our taxpayers, to our taxing public and what they are paying. And keep that in mind each year as we are moving forward with levies and budgets and so forth. So that was kind of where we were at. Part of John's question also was, what is our rating? What is our bond rating? Moody's does it's an independent rating of our bonds. We are at an A2. Please keep in mind that this is the time of the year when those bond ratings are actually judged. So that bond rating is a year old because they do it on a calendar year. And they are in the process of actually reevaluating our rating right now. Once that is given to me again, I'll disclose it as I do every year for you. Happy to answer any questions on the policy. I just wanted to give an update since it kind of came out of this meeting anyway. Other than that, just kind of a couple of other things. You may or may not be aware, we have a fund, it is named the Ella Kettner Fund. Ella Kettner is a was a teacher in Lee County. I believe she taught at Lee County schools, which don't exist any longer, obviously. She taught for like 40 years, passed away, and left numerous organizations, the library, the school district, different organizations around town, money. She had some money, and she left it. At the time she left the school district, it was about $1,500. That fund has grown to $15,000 over the last 70 years. The uniqueness of this fund is that she left the money with very clear stipulations that the money could be loaned in $200 intervals to students for school, which again, in 1950, $200 was actually a pretty good number. What we have found over the years is children are not taking advantage of this because they have to pay it back. It's a loan. And that, I'm sure, is not her intent. Her intent was for children to access this money and be able to use it to fund their school in some manner. So over the years, it's gone through a variety of different updates and changes and things like that. And we have decided, we've started doing some investigation into this because we want to get the money in the hands of children. That's what we want to do. And we are not a student loan institution. We don't loan money to people. That's not what we do. So we have actually approached the foundation to consider us giving them this money for them to use in their general scholarship fund. So ultimately, the children can access these funds through the scholarships. Otherwise, we foresee that the money is going to just sit there. However, there's a legal process that takes place in that scenario that requires the Attorney General's office to basically say it's okay for us to do that. So we have started that process to start moving those funds over through legally so that it can be done. And it requires a variety of steps like determining if she actually has any heirs, which we've been unable to determine that she does. She was unmarried and did not have any children. John's father, as the historian that he is, has actually found some information on Ella Kettner, and that also kind of supports the fact that she doesn't have any heirs around the area as well. So we're really just kind of making you aware tonight that ultimately this is our goal. We see this taking months to get through the overall process. Obviously, if you were an objection to us doing this, we would kind of want you to kind of speak up now and kind of say, no, let's not do this, or let's have some additional discussion about it. But the guidelines within this gift that she gave us are very clear. We cannot just give it out as scholarship funds. It would remain a loan. And again, as I kind of said, we're not seeing that happen. Comments, questions?
So this, if it were to be a gift to the foundation, then they would be able to use it
Yes.
to give to kids without it being a loan?
Yes. Also, ultimately, the Attorney General's office would be relinquishing us of the parameters established within that. And then, again, kind of back to the same concept, we could do scholarships, but again, we don't do scholarships. That's not what we do. We have organizations that do that. The foundation being one of them, that type of thing. So, and that's a smooth avenue for us.
We spoke at the last foundation meeting to make sure that this is something we would want to do, and they very graciously said they would if the board would approve moving forward.
And they also said the same thing of, well, we don't want it if we've got to live with these parameters of loaning it and so forth, which again, I certainly understand. I mean, if the money can go to them kind of just clear and be part of this general college scholarship fund and manage that, then it would work out nice.
Mark, did students know this was available to them?
The counselor's offices are.
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah. Counselor's office has it. I mean, this information is out there.
It's part of the list that they get every year to see if they, students who come
To
in.
take home with them, or how? What do you mean?
Yes, if there's an interest in the funds, there you can fill out information. I believe the last one we had was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was right actually when I was coming in, back in 2018, 2019, there was an individual who had taken advantage of it. But remember, the other thing is because it's a loan, the money's never going away. It's earning interest, like it's in an investment at a local bank, and it's earning interest, and then people are, if we give them the money, they then pay it back when they're done. So the money's never going away in its current form, because it's always paid back to us. It's the payback, if I were to make an opinion, it's the payback that is preventing people from doing it. Well, they don't pay it back. They're interested in scholarships. I mean, I think that's.
My two children who were at Dixon High, now I've got a grandchild there, and I've never heard of this before. I just wonder how well it's been publicized to the students.
In discussions with the counseling office, students have been made aware of what scholarships are available.
We have a list of all the scholarships, and I would assume that it's involved in, I guess I don't know if it's included in that list. I would assume that it is. I can check on that. That might not matter moving forward, but yeah. And then we, put those in the announcements. We're heading into scholarship season right now. So in our daily announcements, things get said. I make announcements over the intercom, and then there's a physical paper copy of all of them listed in the guidance office once they're all ready to go, mid to late February, something like that.
In the recent years, the guidance office maintains a list on the website. It's advertised around the schools and the screens that are up, trying to point kids to the different scholarships and get them there. I know it was Dee Dee for many years, and she would always work to really advertise that and get it out there as much as possible. It can be hard to get people to, even stuff that benefits them, to get their eyes on it. But she would always do that, and it's probably going to be the same process. It's a different person in the office this year, but I know they always maintain that. And as the information comes in, they post it and they update it almost daily.
Is the counselor office trying to identify people that this might assist or help?
I don't know how much time they have to do like targeting like that.
No, we haven't. Short answer, no.
Is it only for college, or is it for trade schools?
No, it's for anything, any
Post-secondary.
Post-secondary.
It's post-secondary. It's not like pay your student fees for high school sort of thing. Does a school district administer other scholarship things like that, or most of that's foundation?
Yes.
There's no
School
other-
district doesn't do any scholarships.
Right, except
They're all outside organizations. They funnel through us.
just because
Obviously,
you pass the
not
word along.
financially, but yeah,
Right, you pass
exactly.
the word along.
Exactly.
Therein lies the uniqueness of this, which is.
What do you do with that?
Which is somewhat questionable. I mean, I'm not, I certainly, the gift is very generous, thank you very much,
Yeah.
right? But the uniqueness of this is the only money, the only account that we maintain in this manner. It is the only one that is a loan-based program.
Yeah, and I don't think we want to get into the business of debt collecting. If a student takes a loan and then, right?
And again, we haven't had that, but it could happen.
Right.
It could.
So it has been taken advantage of in the past though, where we have loaned students certain amounts and.
To my knowledge, only one. I don't know how many others we've done. I mean, I haven't.
There have been, prior to that, there were a small handful, my understanding, quite a ways back. And it's a.
Oh, and it was $200.
$200 max.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, Matt.
$200 towards their college expenses of $60,000.
Like I said, back in 1950.
Again, back then, that was,
Yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
it was.
You could almost buy a book with that.
Almost. No,
What,
just, yeah.
Mark, you mentioned it was right now it's in a CD, I'd have to assume?
Yeah, so the funds are sitting at Sauk Valley Bank, we talked about earlier. There's a couple of CDs and a checking account. So there's money in the checking account, so if somebody actually wanted it, we could actually write them a check and give it to them. And then the other money is in a couple of different CDs.
Just drawing what, 2%?
They're not drawing very good, no, to be very honest with you. But yeah, it's somewhere in that.
And the reason I'm asking the question, I guess to keep the intent there, and I know scholarships through the foundation, they give between $3,000 to several $100s, I guess, based on the degree of that. So my thought process is $15,000 and a 2%, that's $300 that would be drawn off interest. If we keep this process in whole, I mean, it's small money, but $300 scholarship, $400, $1,000, whatever that number is, but CD is not going to draw that much interest to.
And remember,
to get that interest back.
We can't change it. We can't just go to scholarship.
Yeah.
There is a whole process by which we have to relinquish the parameters of it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, one thing is that she had intended this to be something in perpetuity, to be loans and then coming back in. And if we give it to the foundation, I think they have the opportunity to have a trust or something like this, where I don't know the right financial word, but where, like you're saying, Brandon, where you give out only the interest. That
So
what I'm saying is we could make a recommendation or a request to the foundation that, hey, could you keep this around and make it the Ella Kastner scholarship where it's $250 or something, or.
Right, so we did not, we just laid a foundation. We did not discuss what your desires as that might be. Certainly, I think the foundation would be more than willing to hear your request. I cannot sit here tonight and guarantee you that that's what they would do.
Nope, right.
But I don't foresee any reason why they wouldn't be willing to do something to support the overall process. Again, I go back to a very clear statement. No one is taking advantage of this. And we want to get it in the hands of kids to use towards their college educations, towards training, towards vocational training, whatever that looks like. I mean, that's our goal. And in its current form, history and data tells us that's not happening.
They won't sign up for loans. The
federal government will give you as
do
much
the
money as you want.
scholarships.
Why would you take this?
Right. They do the scholarships first. But I do agree with John and Brandon. If there's a way that we can keep the fund growing at the same time giving out some each year, or if the foundation will,
Yeah.
that would seem to be her intent.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to stick as much as we can with her intent,
But keep
adjusting for modern
some,
times
yeah,
and
right.
whatever's reasonable.
So I think at this point, I mean, I will update you on the legal process as it continues to move through. And certainly if any other questions come up.
Mark, in her probate estate in the 50s, there should be an order of ownership. Has anybody gone back to look for that?
Our attorney will be going back and confirming all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should be able to find, you should be able to process the heirship fairly easily.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, sorry, and on the fund balances, Mark, thanks for doing all the research on that and putting that together. As always, you're killing it here with putting together things and making it easy so that lay people like us can understand. I like that the fund balance policy is basically be reasonable and do good things with this. It's something like that. I don't have a problem with leaving it like that. I feel really safe with it in your hands, and it's like whatever Mark thinks is reasonable is what we do, which I think seems like a reasonable thing to do. And if you want to put more structure and flesh around that of putting some stipulations, I'd support that too.
And I will tell you, I think, if we can continue to grow our fund balances, which I certainly hope that we continue to do that, right? I mean, that's a goal financially. The people that I had some communication with were districts that they kind of openly said, yeah, we kind of have more money, and we kind of had to say, what is the parameters? Where are we going to abate or cap some level of our levy because we shouldn't have more than what we've got? That's what the Miller ratio is. That's what the operational reserve reduction is. It's, you should not have 6 years of cash in hand. You should not have an extra $10, $15 million sitting in O&M because you're gonna do a addition on one of your buildings. That is not what you should be doing, but there are some districts, their tax base is so grand, just levying their normal rates, that's where they end up. And that's not where we are.
Great. Cool.
Okay. At the end of first quarter, our principals shared their school improvement plan updates with the board. At that time, you all asked for updates, but more in the data presentation. We took our winter benchmarking right before winter break, and our first day back to school was a SIP half day, and each building, except Washington, which we'll talk about what they did, had the opportunity to just sit down, evaluate their data, see where the areas of growth were, see where the areas of need were. And so for this mid-year SIP update, we are going to give you a data presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to Doug.
So you have a handout, and I think Paul is going to also put it up on the projector for anyone in the audience. But this basically shows our Renaissance projected assessment data. And what I mean by projected, how our students would do on a state assessment. On the first page, you see STAR math proficiency rate. Then on the second page, you would see ELA proficiency rate. And what we did here is go right back to the beginning to basically the first full year that we had STAR, which was the fall of 21-22, that school year. So we've had it for a while now. And just showing you where our students started out at and where they are currently as of December of, well, the school year. And you can see that the projected proficiency of a student on whether it be the IAR, or back then it was the SAT, but now it's the ACT, and Renaissance has a formula for figuring this out, but it was 18%. And then over the years, you can see the growth, where we are now at approximately 32% for math. And if you go to the flip side of the first page for you'll see ELA started out at right around 24, and we're at 34%. Then the bar graph beneath, and we'll look at that, that to me tells a better story. And what I did there was just took out the winter assessments of where they stood as the winter of each year. And you can see the winter of the first year there, that 18% that you see on there, and we didn't really have anyone that was exceeding then. It was just 18% met expectations. And you can go across there. I don't need to read all the percentages to you, but what's an important number to me actually, and I think would be to all of our administration, all of our staff as well, is that we had that first year 514 kids that were projected that they would not be able to meet any expectations on the IAR or the SAT. That number has decreased down to 319. We're looking at pretty close to 200 students that have moved in the right direction there. That's increasing kids' academic confidence. That's what our staff is doing there. And it's while it's good growth that we've seen there, it's not where we want to be. For the next page, you'll see, I'll go and let you look at ELA as well. We might as well get to the flip side there and look at where our kids are with reading and writing. But again, as I mentioned earlier, they're at the 24% and they're up at 34%. So 10% have increased over the last 4 years. But again, if you look down there at the bar graph, that did not meet expectations. And then that grew by, we lessened the number there in that portion by 140 plus kids. So, doing the right things. But like I said, we do have a long way to go. We do have good growth. Our achievement is not where we want it yet. To go back to our district goal, our first goal, student achievement SMART goal, we wanted 80% of the district's K-12 kids to be at the 70th percentile on math and ELA. So, like I said, we have a ways to go, but we are making good growth. When you think that usually if you see a 1 to 2% growth in a year, you're thankful for that, and then the next year, what we have seen and what I've seen a lot of districts in the past, they just kind of hover in that 1 to 2% go up and then they'll drop back. But our trend lines are increasing. And again, the credit goes to what's happening in our buildings, what our teachers are doing, what our administrators are doing. I've given a few more notes there on why some of the things are working. And this is just an assessment tool. This is telling us where our kids are projected to be. But implementing things like new curriculum, ELA curriculum, new math curriculum with our Envision math and mid-school math at the middle school. We've done summer school now every year for the last multiple years. Win Plus, which is the after-school program. Jumpstart, which is what we do for a select group of kids right before school starts each year. Growth and achievement is going to take time, but we're encouraged by what we're seeing. And our goal, as I note there at the end, is we want to get better with utilizing our curriculum resources, and that's also part of our SMART goals in our district improvement plan. So the second part of what we were going to do is you have items that were put in your folders from our individual buildings, not from Washington. We'll have Kelly share a little bit about what they did on January 6th at Washington. January 6th was a big day as far as looking at data. Basically, you're getting the, 20,000 foot view of district data here. What the teachers do, they go right into the nitty gritty of the kids in their classroom and like, okay, what do I need to do with this child? What interventions do I need to put into place moving throughout the rest of the year for WIN that occurs during what I need occurs during the day, or ELT, extended learning time at the high school. What are we going to do with these kids throughout the year? And that's what our administrators are going to talk about here as far as what the teachers discussed on January 6th. Before I pass it off to them though, do you have any questions for me about this handout that I've given to you?
What grades do these encompass? K through 12 or
K through 12. The reading, math is not in kindergarten. The math assessment starts in first grade, but reading starts all the way kindergarten on up. And I should say it's K through 10. 11th and 12th grade, we have a smattering of students, mostly special ed, that takes the STAR. So this is mostly K-10 data.
K-10 for reading?
K-10 for reading.
And then
110,
okay.
Yep.
Answer my question.
That's a great high-level indicator of improvement as a whole over the district. And it's super cool. And the numbers are telling a great story. They're moving in the right direction, slowly, but in the right direction. So this is as far back as your numbers go, back to 2021.
With the STAR, that's
with the STAR testing. One thing that feels important is that, like, we're telling this story over time, over and the board, I'd like the board to think in years and decades maybe about how we're doing as a district and moving in the right direction. I would just want to see that we maintain the ability to keep these, there was some kind of assessment done in 2020, 2019, 2018, whatever that was. But then if we would ask the question, can you mash them up? They're like, it's not apples to apples of that, right? Let's keep our apples to apples as much as we can in the future. And like, even if this, for however good STAR is, it's probably not the perfect thing on the planet, but it is going to be apples to apples as long as we can use it in the future.
When it comes to these assessments, STAR is one and MAPS, Measures of Academic Progress, is another one. The district had that several years ago before me.
20 years.
Yeah, then there was Let's Go Learn for some of the buildings, but this is the first item that since I've been here, that was
cool. I just love to see.
We want to be consistent.
Exactly. That's
Ames Web too.
Just to continue to have the ability to look at this and then, 5, 8 years from now, be able to look back and see, okay, for the past 12 years or whatever we've done.
Any other questions for me?
The other one that came to mind is, to what degree do you think COVID, 2021 coming out of COVID, and it was a rough time then. Maybe I would have almost expected to see a bigger jump coming out after we're back in the classroom and all that. But just a comment about that.
I don't know if I could give you any predict around that to be straightforward with you, but COVID did hurt all districts. That was nationwide. That was evidenced. So.
Not to mention with our ESSER monies, we were able to make sure that our curriculum was tied directly to the very old curriculum at that point. And it wasn't necessarily exactly aligned with the Illinois learning standards. There were some new learning standards introduced, and now we know that not only does our curriculum match what the state expects us to know and be able to do, but then we're also utilizing the professional development for what are the latest and the best instructional techniques to make sure that kids get the content.
And it's always difficult in the very beginning when everybody's learning that new curriculum. To see growth. Right at first.
And that's important to note. The teachers are learning how to deliver the curriculum, learning the curriculum, while the kids are facing a level of rigor that they're not used to. And it's, again, everyone stepped up.
Doug, last question, whether we can answer this now or later. The 23-24 enrollment for 1 through 10, via the graph, is $16.99 via the test results, but our enrollment was $18.69. Why is that difference of 200? I use the word missing, but is there some students?
These are the number of kids what you see were tested.
Okay, so that 200, give or take 200 that weren't tested.
Could be some kids that are outplaced.
Okay.
For some.
Okay.
And again, some of the kids that we have kindergarten, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Okay. So outplacement through that 1 through 10 in that example. Okay. Thank you.
Way to look that up.
Interesting to see that summer is really hard on math scores, isn't it? Just very consistent.
Yeah, it's a continual little dip there.
Yep.
Continual dip there. Yeah.
So do we have, or will we have in spring, will we have a very similar, because they take STAR in winter.
STAR, fall, winter, spring.
Okay, so we'll have, I think spring would be a good gauge as they're being through their 3/4 of the year.
A lot of times, kids take a little dip in the spring.
They do, okay. Okay. But then in comparison from 21-22 to 24-25 be apples to apples, like John was saying. So you may see a dip from 26% to a 24%, but you'll see that same comparison to 21-22.
Overall, still trending up.
Still trending up, exactly. Yes. Okay. Cool.
Anything else? Okay. Actually, we're going to start with Kelly first, and she's going to. They did not do the typical sit that everyone else did. They had other fish to fry because they're working on conscious discipline. And Kelly has a little bit to share about that. And then we'll just go in order of the buildings with Jefferson next and so on.
So we're very excited to we've bought a partnership with Conscious Discipline. So we have a coach that we've been working with since November. So November SIP Day, we had a coach come from Florida, and she came and spent the morning in several classrooms, talking with teachers, and even just like working with kids, coaching kids in the moment with teachers, modeling for teachers. And then that afternoon, she did a training for our whole staff. So paras, we had some secretaries there, paras, teachers, admin, everyone was invited. And she taught us some just different strategies that the teachers could take and then use in the classroom the next day. So the best part about having this coach, her name is Mindy, is that she's also walking us through other aspects of conscious discipline virtually. So we are doing 6 sessions all together as a staff. It's called Handling Upset. And so we sit as a staff and we watch a video, and there's like a worksheet that goes along with it. And then we schedule sessions with Mindy virtually to ask questions. We can ask her specific questions about specific situations. She can help us with like, okay, I have this problem, what strategy would you want me to implement to help with this child? She's already getting to know our staff, which I think is really great. She came for the second time in person on this SIP day, so it just happened to be the same SIP day as everyone else was doing data. So when she came the second time, she revisited some of the classrooms, and so then she was building more trust with those teachers, was able to have conversation about what's changed from November to now. And then what was really cool was she then used what she saw in her presentation that afternoon. So we give us specific examples of when this kid was, and she didn't use any names or anything, but when this happened when I was here this morning, this is what I did. And so they're just a lot of like breathing strategies, just how to just use less words with kids and to help yourself be calm when they're in upset. So when the adult is calm, then that helps guide the child in that same direction. So we did that, and then she's also helping us set up it's called a Conscious Discipline Action Team. And so I had 15 staff members. I have paras, special ed teachers, first grade kindergarten teachers, admin, social workers that all volunteered to be on this action team. And so we've met twice and Zoomed with Mindy, and she's helping us to build our school family and community and then take that into our classroom. So our first task was to have a friends and family board in the school and to have staff members bring in pictures. We put it in a central location so that kids, when they walk by, can say, oh, there's Mrs. Glenn, who's in that picture? So then they get to know us better and then make connections with us. And the teachers as well can see other families and talk to each other about, oh, I didn't know you had a golden doodle, I do too. So just building those conversations with kids and adults. And so next we're going to talk as a team as how we can all implement that in our classroom to build those relationships with the kids and the kids with each other too.
I've said in the last 2 trainings with the entire group, Conscious Discipline, I think I irritate Kelly a little bit because I send her text messages and like, this would be so cool if you did this during this time and that sort of, but she's very nice to me anyway. She responds nicely.
I humor him for sure. But it's really, we've thought about, even next school year, well, how can we start it different and really focus on building those relationships, because you have to have those connections before you have cooperation with your class and with students, especially those that are, maybe this is their first time in the classroom or being around other kids. So building the connections, like I said, between kids and staff and kids. So I've learned a lot, and I've taken a lot even for my own children to use. Like a lot of times I'm sitting there thinking about, oof, man, when I get home, that's who I have the least patience with is my own kids. And so just how to take a step back, breathe, and how to just not add to the upset, but help to diffuse that. And it's been
we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot, and I have witnessed a lot of staff members using the verbiage and really trying out the breathing strategies that she's taught us with the kids. So it's been good.
Kudos to your school, that's a huge amount to be on your team.
Yes, I know.
And
I'm just
for them to
really,
really
really
devote their
excited.
time. I'm super
Yes.
proud of them.
Yes, and veteran teachers, new teachers. One of our pre-K teachers she's gone to different trainings, just in different districts and different positions that she's been in. So she's very knowledgeable about conscious discipline, but she is on our team, and so she's a great resource and just telling us what she's used and how she's used it, so.
Where did this come from? I mean, whose idea was it?
Last year, last school year, the first 2 days of school, the first day, all staff had like a initial training, and then the second day, pre-K had a second day training. And pre-K has used aspects of this for many years. They already had, like, there's these feeling buddies and like we wish you well boards. They've used those for a long time. But then now, this year, we just followed up with that and tried to just be more consistent. And it's a process. You can't just say we're a conscious discipline school. It's a whole mindset. And so that's what I love, having the coach that can say, okay, you don't have to do everything tomorrow. Like, start with this friends and family board. Okay, now have them try that in their classroom. So just little steps at a time. Yeah.
And Washington is testing. You will get her updates next month once they have the ability to have their day-to-day.
Yeah, so we were planning to do that during PLC, I think it's January 28th. So we'll have an update with that next time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
So January 6th, Jefferson took the time to decide what we're going to do moving forward with our interventions. And we had our day-to-days yesterday, today, tomorrow, and it was Monday, so it's just not Wednesday, right? Yeah, okay. I moved, I lose the days of the week. So January 6th, second grade met with second grade, and we had done something different at the beginning of the year. We noticed when our kids came in this year, we were inverted on the upward side, lower than we were higher. So we went from more kids trending better last year to more kids trending lower this year coming in. And it was a skills deficit. And we have an hour block for skills and an hour block for knowledge in Amplify. So we spent the first semester, and I had a lot of people say, Crystal, you're doing this, are you sure you want to do this? Including the Amplify coach when she came in the fall, and I said, we have to do something because what we've done is not working. So if we do it again for the rest of this year, we're going to have the same results, which is insanity. So we did first semester, all of our second grade teachers took their skills blocks and went off of their Amplify assessments that they gave the beginning of the year assessment from Amplify, and acknowledged and recognized kids that were not where they needed to be, which was second grade skills. We had kids starting in kindergarten skills, kids in the first grade skills, kids in the beginning second grade skills. And so all of our 8 teachers divided these kids, and we taught them the first semester at the level of skills they were at to help build that foundation. It worked beautifully because second semester started January 6th, and all second grade kids are in second grade skills. They're not all in the second grade skill they should be at right now, but they're all in second grade skills. And the ones that are a minority now that need that skill at the first grade level are getting it during their win time. So our 60-minute block was sharing all these kids all over the 8 sections of second grade to build their success. And now they have their own kids. They're not sharing kids for 60 minutes now. Their own kids now that they focus on in the 40-minute block that they can teach the skill they have to teach in isolated time. It's a really successful, exciting thing to watch for second grade. And then they, like I said, they use that 40-minute block as needed. Now all teachers don't have kids that need that 40-minute block for the skill. So then they're moving forward with what they need to do on the other pieces with comprehension, with fluency, beyond the actual skills that they have to use in the 60-minute block. So third grade is doing something totally different. They don't have skills in third grade, they just have knowledge. 120 minutes of knowledge. It's a long period for knowledge because they assume they already have these skills when they come into third. That is not true. So what third grade is doing is what Doug asked us to do this year, which is the 3 R's, which is to relearn, review, I guess you should say relearn, reassess. So they are taking those skills that they didn't come into third grade with, and they're using their 40-minute block to teach them outside of what they have in knowledge, to teach them with comprehension, to teach them with fluency in small group, one-to-one settings in their own classrooms. They also shared the first semester because they really needed to make sure they had the same thing, honing in on what they didn't have. And now they're keeping their own kids because they want to know what their kids know. They want to hear what their kids know. They want to hear their kids read, their own kids read. It was a success first semester, like second grade was. Now it's time to say, what are our own kids doing? So they're using Amplify, they're using Envision, they're using Boost, they're using Success Maker. They're building their kids' groupings off of their STAR data, but also their Amplify and their Envision data, because we need to know what our kids know within our own local curriculum, not just what their universal screen is telling them. What Doug was just talking about with our trending upwards, I ran our report for Jefferson yesterday about who in third grade, the projection, who's supposed to be able to meet the IAR standards. And last year, I will tell you, we had like 23 kids projected, total, in 154 kids. We have 69 projected in December. And that doesn't take into account the next 3 months before we take IAR at the beginning of April. So we already are 3 times the amount of kids projected to meet on IAR. And I have 3 more months before we have to take that test. So it's exciting to see our actual local curriculum really starting to play off the last 3 years. We knew it would take 5 years. We are 2 more years away from that really great day, but we're seeing really awesome things. And our teachers in today's day-to-days and yesterday's day-to-days, they're owning what they're doing. They're excited. And it's awesome because when Kelly Full and I walk around the building, she walked around Monday into all of the third grade rooms, and she went from one room right into another room, the exact same lesson being taught on the same day and at each teacher's style. But that's what we've been trying to get to. Doug's been preaching it. Dan Rick preached it. You've got to be together to know where your kids are at before you can move forward. So it's exciting, and I think that we have a lot of success coming up. We've had a lot of success already, but we have much more success to try to get to before the end of the year and in the next 2 years. So I talk fast. Any questions?
Well, and John, you mentioned about assessments and keeping with a continual assessment. I think what you're hearing too is it's not just one assessment.
No.
It's important for us to triangulate that data, because was this maybe a exceedingly high score or an exceedingly low score on an assessment? Was it just an off day, or are we seeing that across the multiple assessments that we give them? So we know if they're, where we need to start digging deeper, or was this just perhaps a fluke today?
Do you mean multiple assessments as in that we're doing spring, fall, winter, or
Different assessment.
IAR
Different
versus STAR
assessment.
versus, okay.
Yeah,
Correct.
so.
Their curriculum assessments, their Amplify, their Envision, the quizzes, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's where you get the better picture of what the kid knows and is able to do.
Yeah.
And when you throw in on top of that, you've got your online interventions, the adaptive tools with Success Maker and with Boost. Those 2 tools, they are continually probing the kid's ability, basically. Like, okay, they're doing well with these questions, we're taking them to the limit. Oh, that's too hard. Okay, we need to hover here for a while, and then we'll continue to progress along there. So there's all
Your
kinds of
local
different-
assessments that are associated with the curriculum that we teach are looking at your kids as a whole. Then when you start into your benchmarking, which is the data we looked at tonight with Renaissance, you're looking at your kids not only as a whole, but then how do they compare with other peers their same age who take Renaissance all across the country? And then we look at, in the spring and summer, by the time we get the initial scores out to us, we then take a look at the state assessments, which are their grade level peers all around the state then. So you've got an idea of how they're performing with their peers. Are we on track? Because as we know, they're all gonna end up together somewhere someday, so.
What I want to see is, just as a general school, we want to be getting better every year.
Yep.
And it helps to have one thing to point at as this is the number. When I hear you start talking about all the different kinds of assessments, I'm looping, I don't know. So this felt really nice as having a single point. I don't know if there's a way to take all, but I hear what you're saying, though, that all these other assessments also have value. Is there a way to squish those together in some kind of a way that?
Kind of got an answer to that.
Oh, wonderful. I didn't think you would.
We are doing an onboarding process of EduClimber right now.
Okay.
And EduClimber is connected to Renaissance, where that data will go automatically in there, but our Amplify data, our STAR data, and all of that will be able to go in there. So then when our teams or PLCs actually sit down and look at it, they'll be, oh, here's our Amplify test score, here's where they are a STAR, here's what they're doing with Boost and Success Maker, that sort of thing. And then they'll be able to look at all of it.
Yeah, and the goal in the end is, I want to just ask the question, are we getting better? And have you have one thing you can point to and say, it was this, and now it's that, so the answer is yes. And so it sounds like maybe this EduClimber is kind of that.
It's gonna pull it together.
Okay, cool, cool.
And that also goes with what I said, John, last year, we were 21 kids total, or 23 kids total projected, and now we're 3 times that amount. So that right there tells you as well, we're getting better because it's the same type of questions.
Yep.
And they're projected to do 3 times better
That's
as of right
huge.
now. It
That's
is.
huge.
It is. Yeah, we're never satisfied because our numbers aren't where we're supposed to be, and I've known that for the last 10 years, but we're getting there. It just takes time.
Yep.
The piece that I love about all of this and listening to you guys talk is when I came in, I don't know how long ago, 6 years ago, there were, like, in the community, the parents, some of the older children, the staff, you kept hearing about all these learning gaps everywhere because the teachers were teaching so differently, even in the same grade level.
Not anymore.
And now listening to Kelly being able to go into one class and then go to the next, and the kids are all learning the same things, and that's starting to compound, and we're starting to see the results of that. It's been a lot of work for the staff, a lot of work on admin and done finding all these things, and everybody trying to, get all this new curriculum up and running, and the kids getting used to it, but you're starting to see that increase in our scores and our testing and our kids getting the same kind of lateral learning.
Yes.
Which is really wonderful. So I love hearing all of that. That's
Yeah, it was
wonderful.
nice when they were switching for semester. They could go into any of the 8 rooms in second or third and get the exact same language. And she told you that was important to the team of the third and the second grade, that they wanted their kids to know whether they went to one teacher or the 8th teacher. They were all on the same boat.
I think that's so important for our kids.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice job, thank you.
Mr. Sagan?
We also had a very good day on January 6th. It's always good to be able to step back and kind of look at, that big picture, as well. So something we worked hard on, as well as they worked hard on in the other buildings, is our pacing guides. So all teachers are guaranteeing a rigorous curriculum for all of the students. And part of what we're doing with our data is looking at those pacing guides and deciding, okay, kids are stronger in this area, maybe we can move through this content a little bit quicker. And then there are other corresponding things where, hey, our kids are a little bit lower in that, we're gonna need to slow down, we're gonna need to do more review days or whatever it is, and kind of adjust our instruction as a whole grade level. So teachers spent part of their time doing that. The rest of the time was really spent on kind of drilling down to the individual kid. We have, just like the other buildings, we have our win time, which is whatever I need. Teachers have teams of 3 or 4 teachers that are working together to separate out kids. So there's special education services happening during that time, Title I, social work services, and then even our teachers in the general education classrooms are also using targeted interventions to really isolate the needs of those kids. We're using a lot of the same assessments, that everybody's talking about to really drill down. Something I think has been really good for our growth this year too is we've moved to standards-based grading, which is similar to what they do at Washington and Jefferson. And I think even that's helping drive our interventions that much more to where, standards-based grading, we moved away from letter grades, and now they have meets approaching or below, on specific standards and skills, so it really drills down for parents, communicates to them, here are the things your child can and can't do, in the areas of reading comprehension or writing a paragraph or really drilling down to specifics. And not only is that information really helpful for parents to get into specifics, but it's also really helpful for teachers, because what they're doing is they're grouping kids and saying, okay, I need to work with this group on, subtraction, 3-digit by 2-digit with regrouping. Like it can get down, drill down to that specific of a skill to where you can instruct the kids individually with what they need, and then reassess and continue to modify groups as the needs of the kids change. So excited about the work that we're doing there. Too, in the aftermath of January 6th, we've been having our data days. So we sit down with a multidisciplinary team and we look at all the different data, including attendance, behavior referrals, our SABRs, our social emotional screener. Something I'm very proud of, and I think parents might almost be surprised to hear, is that with that multidisciplinary team, we go down kid by kid. So every kid in the building, at some point, their name has been said and said, how is this kid looking in these different areas? Are there any concerns that we have? Are there any things that we need to do, additional to meet this child's needs? So I think just the level of individualization that goes on, even being a large school. I'm a farm boy, so this is a large school. But we do a lot of the individualization for kids, and those cracks for kids to follow through are just narrower and narrower, all of the time. So definitely proud of the work that we're doing. And
Mr. Sagal brings up something important, and Crystal did too. Right away, he talked about pacing, they both did. That was a topic of a lot of conversations. The first couple years we implemented Amplify specifically. I think Kim could probably echo that back there too. There was a lot of concern with how fast we were moving through things and what the expectations we were putting on kids, but our staff did it, did move forward with it, and we're seeing some benefits with that now. And Mr. Sagal, his building over there, they've done something this year, I don't know if you're aware of this, where they have 15 minutes every morning, right? Where you basically, it's character development. We're talking about a character trait that they want to emphasize, and from what I understand, the conversations have been rich with the kids there. It's just been good things. And then the other item, they went to a commendable school over this past year. What the state expected would take several years, they made that change in 1 year. So just great stuff that they're doing in Madison.
anything else for me? Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Mrs. Downey, are you going to help us out tonight? Mr. Magnifici had a death in his family, so Mrs. Downey is pushing for us tonight. We appreciate it.
Yeah, so on our day-to-day, we looked at whole school data as far as STAR goes, and then we went to individual classroom data. One thing that we really looked at was our interventions for this year coming into middle school. I previously taught 4th grade, and I was noticing that there was no set intervention specifically for middle school. It's just one of those things where when they come into middle school, we expect them to be able to read and do those skills, but we're finding that those students have deficits when it comes to specific standards. So this year what we did was I worked with 2 of our facilitators to come up with an intervention plan that's used school-wide. And we use our team plan time to plan these interventions, and then our ELA and math teachers implement them, as well as using our social studies and science teachers to finish them out. So what we do is I went through all of our data, and any standard where our students, where 70% or more of our students were below the 70th percentile, I took it and made a list of all of them for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And it was really shocking to see how many standards I had on each list. So what we did was we went through and I gave that list to each of the grade level teachers, and then the teachers then compared their list to the state's priority standards, which they will see in IAR. And then the teachers created STAR custom assessments. On the STAR program, you can create assessments for a specific standard, whether that be 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And they're doing the grade level below. So like 8th grade is looking at a 7th grade standard because that's a prerequisite skill for 8th grade that they're deficient on. So what they did is they went into STAR and created a custom assessment, and it has 5 questions. And I'm sorry, 5 to 10 questions. And they gave the assessment to their entire class, so this was for math and ELA. And then once they gave that assessment, any student that scored 60% or below is put into an intervention group. So these students are polled during their PE class, and teachers are using their team plan times, because they have a team plan and a personal plan now with our teaming model. And they are implementing these interventions, so then they they use a freckle assignment that is connected to that standard. And they do whole group instruction with those students, for the intervention students, for 2 of the questions. Then they go to a small group instruction, like 1 or 2 students. And then day 3, they do 4 questions independently. When the group gets to that independent piece, they go and work with a science and social studies teacher, because it's independent work. So they're not teaching, they're just supervising. And then they also do a post-assessment with those students. So I linked the spreadsheet that the students are using to keep track of that data. The goal was to have something in place that everybody is doing the same model, and to kind of fill those gaps before we move them on to high school. Because what's happening is some of those students we're moving them on to high school, but they still have those deficits in their skills. So we're trying to fill those gaps before they get there. And the goal was to use what we already have in place, which was STAR and freckle. We noticed that freckle was used a lot more last year at the middle school level, but they weren't gaining anything from it. They did 20 minutes every day, whether it be math or ELA, and looking at the data, it was more of like they were either clicking through it, or they just weren't retaining the knowledge that they had. So looking at our STAR scores from fall to winter, everything has gone up, and I'm hoping with these new interventions, we started these the week after Thanksgiving break, because it took a while for us to develop them. We're hoping to see even a more increase in score come spring. So, sorry, it's kind of a lot.
So how many days of PE do these kids miss?
It's 1 to 2.
Okay.
So, and they have 2 specials, so. And like we've coordinated it with PE teachers. It's a whole school process as far as that goes, and there's some kinks, obviously, implementing something new, but
because you're zeroing in so specifically to that skill, it only takes.
Right, it's only a couple of days, and then so when one group is done with the teacher, so like days 1 and 2, they go to the independent practice, and then the teacher pulls the next group of students.
Okay.
So it's like a rotating system. So yeah, we're trying it, and we're seeing good results so far. So we're hoping to see those increases in the spring.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared.
Like the kid at the end of the alphabet. Everybody's like, just get through it. On our December 6th day today, we started our conversations specifically about our SIP goals. At the high school level, that really drives everything that we want to do. And just real quick, I'll gloss over those, you have them in front of you, but we have an academic goal about SAT scores. Obviously, we're kind of in the middle of that right now. It's all brand new to us, but we're doing some SAT practice tests and some intervention stuff in our English classes specifically. We have our climate and culture goal that we've been focusing on all year. Our graduation rate / freshman on track. Now that we're 1 semester in, what administration did along with counselors is we took a look at our 9th graders who failed a core course the first semester. We've targeted them. We have a variety of interventions that we're going to do in 2nd semester with them. And then ultimately our goal is to keep them on track for 4-year graduation. So they'll have, similar to kind of what we did with the elementary last year, some mandatory summer school. At the high school, since I've been around, it's been offered, and it was kind of like if you were behind and you felt like you wanted to come in. So we're going to target those 9th graders, and again, it's in a core course is what the state cares about. So if they've failed 1 or more semesters of English, math, science, or social science, I'm not going to give them that option come June. They're going to come in and get that credit made up. So that's our 9th grade on track, which ultimately, over time, will hopefully have a positive impact on our graduation rate. And then finally, our chronic absenteeism goal, we looked at our numbers. We are trending in the right direction. I tell our kids, our staff, our parents all the time, Anybody who will listen, the number one predictor of success at high school is just being there. We have great people in front of them, and if we can get the kids there consistently, those kids have success. What we've found is the kids who are struggling with attendance are the ones who are struggling academically, obviously grade-wise, who are not ninth graders on track, who are not on track for a 4-year graduation. So those were our highlights. We got into a couple of groups and we really dove down into some attendance data and then also some discipline data. Just a quick report. If you remember a few years ago, we instituted our cell phone caddy system. I think we presented you with some data and how many cell phone referrals there were. What we've seen now for the last couple of semesters, and I look at John because he pulled this for us, is cell phones was our number one discipline referral for several years in a row. Was it number 7 this time? It was our 7th most discipline infraction. And it's kind of at a point you're never going to get to 0, but what we're seeing, it's at a point where it levels off, and I'm hopeful and assuming that we're just kind of at our baseline now. You're always going to have kids who push the envelope a little bit, and that's where we're at, but it's not the problem that it was. So those are the big things that we looked at on January 6th.
What about that change in the intervention time? Did you talk about that?
So we have not changed our ELT recently.
Okay, but I mean, there's discussion
Yeah.
happening about whether it's working or not.
Absolutely, yeah, we
Forever.
talked about it at DEA, PRC,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, those are ongoing, and those are kind of our facilitator meetings have really been focused around those recently, and just how we use that time. And we have a variety of things we do. It's freckle, twice a week, 30 minutes at a time, reading and math. It's a study hall period, a couple days a week. It's an opportunity for, if I have 6 students in all my courses of pre-algebra who are struggling, I can write you a pass and have you come to me 1 or 2 days a week. And then we do some SEL stuff, and they get to, or have to, watch videos of me sometimes and things that I share with them. So those are all the ways we use our ELT
But what
time.
I understood was the discussion was gonna happen about targeting the kids that need it the most.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and
So
that
so
for
we
some
do.
kids it
Mr.
wasn't.
Tate's done a great job of setting up. We have green ELTs where the students don't have to do freckle because they've met and exceeded in both areas. We have some IA study halls, which are intensive assistance. So we identify, for example, those 9th graders who maybe failed one of their first semester classes. They might be a candidate for an IA study hall, which the difference between IA and regular study hall is regular study hall might have 26 kids. The supervisor is in there literally supervising. IA is with a teacher, and there might be 6 students in there. And now I'm gonna go to you and help you figure out what we're missing for assignments, why we did poorly on a test, studying for an upcoming test or quiz, all those things.
Good, good, that sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
So the district, we made a big financial commitment to curriculum purchase, assessment purchases, the instruction part, bringing in professional development and that sort of thing. It wasn't, I remember even as a teacher, we used to get data from whether it be the ACT or MAP or something like that back in the day, and we sit and we look at it and admire it, and then we put in a folder, and that was it. These folks are being way more strategic than I ever was as a teacher, what they're doing with this information and how they're just drilling down and trying to find where the gaps are for kids and trying to fill those gaps. So just making use of good tools, and Mark has said, Doug, you need to give me a 10-year projection of what you're going to need. So we're already trying to figure out, okay, what can we afford as we move forward, and what's necessary and what we're utilizing the most. So it's a plan, and it's coming together, and it just, like I said, it happens with the teachers in the classrooms first. So
That's awesome, and it is a lot of work. And I mean, the data, you could always have the data, like you said, but I don't think teachers knew how to use it and how to use it to the advantage of the students. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing now. It's very scientific and targeted, like that.
Thank you.
Spring benchmark is in April,
Yeah, so,
late April, early May after state testing.
yeah, we're trying to get it.
So
done early.
hopefully, we'll see about the May board meeting, but maybe June will be your next update then. And then we utilize that data to then plan our next round of SIP goals. I anticipate they'll be very similar to what we've been seeing because again, we're not where we want to be, but we're making the climb up there. So. Any other info from administrators? Yes, please, Janine, I'm sorry. That new school building just popped in.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
Okay, so at TJD, we are doing some wonderful things. Again, I shared some information, some basic information. Unlike these lovely administrators, we didn't really have a SIP plan because we had no baseline data starting out with. So on a daily basis, our teachers and our paras are tracking behavioral data on every student. We now have 16 students out there. We started with 10. We have 3 classrooms. So that's really exciting. We just started our K1 class. Behaviorally, I see the data, we put it in a spreadsheet, and I look at it every month, minimally. My teachers look at it every week. We get together, we talk at least every week to 2 weeks about what's going on in the classroom. How can I support you? What do you need? We are seeing generally overall a downward trend of behaviors, so that's a real big positive. I've had several people, administrators and outside people walk through and said, wow, you guys must be doing something right because this is great. We see kids that are happy, they are learning those regulation skills, and we see staff that are happy working with those students. So that's half the battle right there. Future, just to keep building our team and bringing in good quality staff. So our STAR data didn't go up extensively, but both my teachers gave incentives to the students. My second and third grade teacher offered Dempsey dollars, which we have a Dempsey store. The kids every Friday can spend their Dempsey dollars in the store and get trinkets. They think it's wonderful, which to them it is. You know, it can be a little McDonald's thing. They love it. So they got extra Dempsey dollars right before Christmas, and the Dempsey store had a 50% off sale. So, you know, it was a win-win for everybody. And then the 4th through 6th grade teacher offered if every student in the class increased their STAR math and STAR reading scores, that she would buy them McDonald's, and they all increased significantly.
Pretty good, that's a pretty good increase, actually.
Really good. So yeah, I'm really proud of the team, and yeah, McDonald's.
French fries.
So, any questions?
That's so great. It's hard being the first year. You've got an opportunity to set the benchmark and all that. And yeah, it's fun watching you build a new thing from scratch.
Yeah, I have a great team. A great team.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
One final, anything else? Thank you. Then finally, we've only had one committee meeting since our last board meeting. We have a lot coming up in the next 2 weeks.
I know which one that was. Because I was there.
Yes.
And it was yesterday.
Is this the part of, yeah.
Yeah, now provide your
part of the
updates.
show, okay. So, Community Engagement Committee, we are working still on our, this chronic absenteeism topic. And we're getting to the point where we have identified that what we want to do with this is working on educating the community at large, students, parents, the community at large, on what is absenteeism, why does it matter. It feels like a dumb question to ask, but why is it important to go to school? It feels super obvious, but apparently it's actually a real question that we need to kind of promote that. And so what we're doing now is, between now and the next meeting, is people are working independently to create some kind of a poster message, some kind of something that we can be posting to social media. We can be putting, printing physical posters and putting them in businesses around town. Or kind of a mass blast of information in some kind of way about this. Jared, when I'm hearing you talking about chronic absenteeism and your focus there, that might be interesting to collaborate in some kind of way about that.
Yep.
But and John, you've been at these meetings, and so I think we're all pulling towards the same thing here. But yeah, it's
Really interesting.
it is, and we're learning a lot about a lot of this stuff. So.
And trying to bring in the community, that it's as the Dixon community, what can the community do to help the kids get in school and be in school? Supporting parents, just kind of, we talked about, we don't want it to be the blame game, right, and penalizing people, but I like that piece personally, that, what can the community of Dixon do to help our kids be in school? So.
I think employers in the area know that's a problem too. It's really a predictor. High school absenteeism is a predictor to these employers about the employees that they'll have someday.
Absenteeism and.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that, there's gotta be a connection there somehow that we can bring out.
Yep. So the work continues, and the idea is going to be that, we know this is a long-term thing. This is not a one-and-done sort of solution. So we're just looking to see what we can do to contribute to move the needle.
Curious, what are measurements like in I realize compare, right, between our district, but like locally, like what's our Falls of Sterling, what's Rochelle, so Rochelle's not in our district, but what's the comparison of absenteeism in that area as well, to benchmark? Like, are we at, we're at 10%, they're at 20% or 5%, or, so, just compare apples and oranges, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great question. I haven't seen neighboring schools. What I have seen is general state numbers and then us, and we're pretty well in line with general state numbers, which is around 30% of students are chronically absent, meaning they miss 10% or more, which is 18 days a year. Did I get all those numbers right?
Correct.
I think that,
That's right.
that 18 I remember us talking about yesterday.
Yeah, 180 days in a year, 18 days, and 30% of kids are hitting that number. So, and was it pre-COVID? It was 10%, something like that. Pre-COVID, 10% of kids were missing this chronic rate. Now it's 30%. So. That's the alarm bell that's going off, and it's. Well.
Okay. Moving on for the superintendent's report. I know Mrs. Wagner was just going to give a brief update on, we've been going through contract negotiations with the Dixon Education Association. I want to provide just a brief update to everybody.
We have been meeting since October, isn't when we started, and we've used interest-based bargaining. It's been going very well. Some long meetings, many meetings, but it's moving forward nicely. We hope we can finalize the contract this month. Our goal is always to have a fair collective bargaining agreement for everybody involved, the students, the teachers, and the district. So we're really hopeful that that will happen soon.
Thank you. Lastly, we have not had any FOIA requests since our last board meeting, so Technically, we are in compliance with everything.
Could I just do a plug for Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Since I'm gonna miss it, I feel bad that I'm gonna miss it, but, I know that it happens February 8th, so it's before the next meeting. Can they still sign up a team?
I have a team ready, signed up, I just need players. Spouses, significant others are welcome to join us as well.
I know you
so-
said something about our team in the newsletter, but other teams,
If
is there
they're
a
still
deadline?
accepting,
They can
yeah.
still, okay, they can still sign up, and it's on our website, I assume, and,
Yes, the foundation has their own individual link, so you can find it
okay.
at tps170.org and get there, or just call the district office, we'll help you.
All right, and it's a really fun day, even just to watch. People can come and watch. There are raffle prizes, and so it's just a fun Saturday. I just want to plug the foundation because we don't very often, and it's really such a great organization. My husband, as a new board member back in the 90s, knew that other public schools were developing foundations, and up until then, mostly you just heard private schools doing that. So he was kind of thinking outside of the box back then, and I know that John, your father, has been probably involved since then. I mean, the whole time, I know. I was gonna get these facts before the meeting.
He's a lifer, yes.
But he is a lifer. So, yeah, just kudos to that organization. They, for people that might not know, they, of course, do scholarships like we talked about earlier, but offer extras to the school district that we might not. I think they came through with computers or money for computers during COVID when we needed some. And teacher projects. This is the organization that teachers can apply for specialty items that they need for something in their classroom. Am I missing anything?
No, the big thing, like you said, is teacher grants every year. It's tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money.
It's just fantastic. The
Couple-
amount of money they have and
Yes.
how it's built up over the years and what they can do for teachers and for our district.
This is
I
the-
think this is their biggest fundraiser, am I
Correct.
right?
Yep, I was just gonna say that this is the major fundraiser of the year for scholarships, teacher grants, everything that they do. And we have the silent auction, which is going on. Last year it went online, we listened to feedback, it really wasn't accepted as well online, so it's gonna be on site. Silent auction, there's always wonderful desserts as well as baskets and things that the community or staff members put together. Mama Semino's was always, forever and a day, the ones who provided our lunch. And with them retiring, Lena's, who took over that space, is actually offered now to do the food. So we're very excited to bring them on board and very appreciative. They're willing to do it since they're just opening up themselves. So you know, you can come on down all day long at Reagan Middle School in the cafeteria, have lunch with us, look at the silent auction. It is, like you said, just a fun day, and I thank you for remembering that.
And come and go. You can come and go if you can't spend all day. There's no admission to watch, right?
Nope.
So, yeah, we just,
Start training mission. It's a fundraiser.
we thank them for their support.
Is there any reason to go into executive session for the personnel page? Then I suggest we do that now. There will be no action coming out of executive session then.
So I'll read the personnel page and then ask for a motion in a second. New hires, Anna Rosenbaum, paraprofessional at Jefferson School, effective January 15, 2025. Resignations, Zachariah Sandrock, 7th grade social studies teacher at RMS. And all the list tonight is they are effective at the end of 24-25 school year. High school coaches, Dan Crawford, assistant baseball. Tyler Madison, assistant baseball, split stipend. with Oscar Van Sickle. Jason Burgess, winter head strength. Brad Winterland, winter head strength, again split stipend. Zach Hines, winter assistant strength. Brittany Pitzer and Hallie Nelson, split stipend for assistant girls soccer. Lee Eastman, assistant girls track. Megan Hildreth and Maggie Love, split stipend for assistant girls track. Taylor Swartz, split stipend for assistant girls track. Rick Kent, head boys tennis. Amanda Kemmerer, assistant boys tennis. Leslie Butler, assistant softball. Reagan Middle School coaches, Eric Ferguson, Scholastic Bowl coach. Volunteer coaches, DHS assistant baseball, Chris Van Horn, Doug Carlson, assistant baseball, Caleb Crawford, assistant baseball, Jake Hubble and Jake Gaither, assistant baseball, Sam Ramirez, DHS softball, and Carrie Ramirez, same, Rick Schroyer, softball, and Jesse Hargis, softball. Sam Hildebrand, DHS group interpretation, effective immediately. And Brianna Shippert, RMS assistant track. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Gates?
Aye.
Mrs. Wagner?
Aye. I need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired, student disciplinary cases. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
At what time?
8:05.
Roll call.
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Gates?
Aye.
Mrs.